Welcome to the TRMC, the Real Money Coach. So happy to have you here. I'm Marlon Smith, and I got to tell you this, we are really picking up momentum. The feedback has been phenomenal. And I want to first of all just say thank you. Thank you for all of our viewers, all the people that have sent emails, who have reached out to have even an appointment. You know, it really says a lot when you can feel people's energy. And, you know, I see Brad Hudson's on, first one. And so go ahead and type in the chat box where you're watching from, because again, these Real Money Coach virtual town hall sessions is really an opportunity for us to connect. It's an opportunity for us to really, you know, share information, because with all that's going on, there's a lot of noise going on right now. But what I'm here to say is what you focus on becomes your reality. We have a phenomenal young lady who's going to be sharing some information with us, and very excited because this lady, she really brings inspiration. She has her own story, trials and tribulations. But what we always understand is that what you focus on becomes your reality. And it's not about whether or not you're going to get knocked down by life, because in life you will get knocked down. But isn't it true? It's about whether or not you get back up. That's really the key. And so as we move, this is Insurance Awareness Month, September. And is it just me, or do you feel like time is flying by? So I got to first of all give a shout out to all the people that are here. Type in the chat box where you're watching from. Dr. Benita Harris is here in Charlotte. Okay, Alice. Okay, Charlotte's in the house. We're representing. Okay, Brother Day in Boston. Great to have you here. Deborah, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So happy that you're here as well. And so I want you to right now type in the chat box. Type in the chat box. Have you ever said to yourself, if I had only known back then what I know now? Yes or no? Type in the chat box, yes or no. I just want to know, have you ever said, if I had only known back then what I know now, right? And so I see we got Pam and Lisa, Atlanta in the house. So have you ever asked that question of yourself? Have you ever said, man, if I had only known back then what I know now, how would my life be different? Lisa said, yes, Lord. I know, Lisa, I'm with you, girl. Okay, Pam said, yes, exclamation points, right? And so here's what I want you to understand. You're in the right place at the right time, right? Deborah said, yes, because what I want you to understand is we're sharing information. We can't change the past. The past is gone. It's history. And when you think about it, the future is always out there. It's a mystery. So all you have is this moment right here and now. And that's why they call it present, because it's a gift. It's a gift. So thank you, Alice. Yes. All right. And, you know, and Brad said, yes, yes, yes. All right. So let's talk about it. Tony, come on, man. Let's really talk about this. I want to know, Tony, have you ever said to yourself, man, if I had only known back then what I know now?
All of the time, right? So you know, but that's important, man. That's really a part of life, is looking back and saying, hey, listen, if I would have known then what I know now. But
right.
What's more important to me is now that you know what
okay.
you do with it. Now that you know how do you move forward? Now that you know, how do you reach back, help somebody else, right? So that they don't run into and make the same mistakes that maybe you made. And
that's so
it's really about, man, it's really about, you know, giving back and reaching back and all that. So listen, man, I am so excited. We have so many people, you know, and what I want everyone to do is this. Tonight is so important. Tonight is important because how many this? I want our audience to answer this question. Do you know somebody in your family? Somebody on Facebook, one of your Facebook friends, acquaintances. You probably got people on Facebook you don't even know. I got people, friends on Facebook. I don't even know these people, right? But you may know some people and say, you know what? I'm concerned about them because they may not be properly covered. This is September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So what I want you to do is I want you to start a watch party on Facebook. I want you to invite people, inbox some people and tell them that the Real Money Coach is live tonight and we're talking about this thing called life insurance.
Sure.
Now, listen, this is a safe environment. a lot of people don't like to talk about life insurance. I mean, and I always talk about that, right? When I became an insurance agent, I lost half my friends, right? They stopped returning my phone call. Back when I had a pager, I couldn't even page anybody to call me back, right?
Right.
But now, because people don't want to talk about it, but it's important.
Yeah.
And one of the things in my email that I sent out today was this, that we want to have a conversation about life insurance in terms of not just the death benefit, but there's some living benefits right there, right, Marlon? There's some benefits that we can get from it. You often use the phrase, is it the old insurance or the new insurance, right? You remember, man, it's like we got a cell phone. I got an iPhone around here somewhere. I got a Apple Watch, man. I can call people on my Apple Watch.
Amazing.
The first cell phone I had, man, was as big as a shoebox, right?
Right.
So things have changed.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that people know what's going on today. And there's wonderful, wonderful products out there. And people need to know. And so, look, Carrie Joy, all the way from where? Australia.
That's right. That's right. Grateful to have you here, Carrie. Always just a bright voice. And, and that's the thing, Tony, what you're saying is life is life. Yeah. And the one thing that we have to all understand is that ain't none of us getting out of this life alive, straight up. And I know that there's, taboo. And like you're saying, you lost half your friends, right? I mean, it's like life insurance. It's got like a negative connotation. You know what I'm saying? Right. You want to understand when you change your mindset. See, success leaves footprints. And you really think about it, okay, what are wealthy people doing? What are people doing to create legacy wealth? Something for our children, they're going to do better, right? Our guest, she has phenomenal children. She's going to be sharing her story. But, it's one thing they're going to do better. But I'm talking about exponential. I'm talking about your great-grandchildren, right? And your great-great-grandchildren, right? I mean, that's a mindset.
About, man, listen, I want to leave so much money behind it. My great-great-grandchildren have a picture this big of me.
Of you, right?
That was my great-great-granddaddy. So, and so, man, it's true, though, that utilizing these tools, and it's beyond that. But sometimes, Marlon, let's be real. Sometimes we're not even getting the basics, right?
Right.
And so sometimes we got to start at the basics. This is a policy. If nothing else, you need a policy that will bury you. Because I got news for you. This is a new flash, okay? If I had a drum roll, I'd do a drum roll, okay? This is a news flash to the community, to all our communities, right? GoFundMe is not an insurance policy. I don't think they know that, man.
Right.
Let them know that there is insurance is important. And man, we got some more people we need to shout out. I see Sally Green from Charlotte, North Carolina, wonderful customer. Christy Burden from Mississippi. Man, and it just makes me think about when I was growing up, how we did Mississippi. Is M-I, crooked letter, I, humpback, hump. We did that kind of thing. That's how we went Mississippi. Because both of my parents were from Mississippi. Both of my parents were from Mississippi. My dad had an 8th grade education, went to World War II, got out of the Army, and went straight to the factory and began working in Michigan. And I'm just going to pause and tell the story, right? Because, when my mom passed, and many of you have heard this story, is that when my mom passed, she had 6 life insurance policies, none of them paid. Because of some of the things that she was buying, right? She didn't know JCPenney policy that comes in the mail, Montgomery Wards, and all these accidental death. And my mom had some health issues, but they really didn't know. And so then even when my dad died, man, they had the only life insurance they had is what he had through work. And he was retired and he was 86 years old. And so that policy had dwindled down to basically about nothing. Wow. And so we lived through that. And that's part of the reason I'm so passionate about it is, number one, is getting these policies and getting people covered. But Marlon, beyond that, and we'll share some of this with you later, is we have to teach people, is financial education is so important. Because guess what? If you have $1 million policy, and Marlon, I hope that you and I are becoming so close that I'm one of your beneficiaries on that. But anyway, so but if you leave $1 million, to some people who are not financially educated, it'll be like them hitting the lottery. And we know 70% of people who hit the lottery are broke in a couple of years. And so we have to bring financial literacy, financial education to the table as well.
Yeah. So here's one of the things. I mean, look, I've been doing inspirational speaking, leadership programs 28 years. And so I've done all the seminars and so on and so forth. It's all about action. And so I want to right now just put up our email, info@therealmoneycoach.com. And listen, info@therealmoneycoach. What I'm asking you to do is send an email right now. I mean, you can open up another browser, just send an email, just say, hey, guys, I'd like to get some more information. And you don't have to do it for yourself. How many of us, just write in the chat box, how many of you have family, friends that, could really benefit from this type of conversation who are not here right now, right? And so I want you not just to think about yourself, think about your family, your friends. Let me tell you why this is personal for me. Okay, this year, 2020, I had 3 classmates die, 3 friends die, right? A high school friend died of a heart attack in his sleep. And these 3 friends died within 12 days of each other, okay? So one died of a heart attack, a high school buddy. A college fraternity brother of mine died of pancreas cancer, okay? And another college friend died of COVID-19, right? I then, a month and a half later, another college friend died. He drowned, okay? He drowned in a lake, all right? And then one of my high school buddies, a month after that, died. We played football together. We won a state championship game. Wayne, phenomenal nose guard. He died. So what I'm saying, 5 young men in their 50s passed away. Okay. And so what I'm saying to you is I'm asking you right now, send an email to info@therealmoneycoach right now, because action is the name of the game, right? 190,000 people have died from COVID-19. Those people, I mean, think about it. Last year, this time, they had no idea that they were going to have less than a year. So what I'm saying is that this is important. And what Tony talked about, the old insurance, new insurance, our special guest tonight is a lady on a mission. She also shares our passion, and she has a story. Just like you heard Tony talk about, his mom, his dad. See, your misery can become your ministry, right? And that's really it. So Tony, I mean, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to rock.
Let me do this, man. Because I love playing spades, right? So okay. I'm gonna pull out my trump card tonight. Okay. So all what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say this. Listen, Chris, put up my my appointment website, TonyJacksonAppointment.com. Listen, if you're serious about having a conversation about life insurance, I will give the first 10 people who schedule appointment on my website, on my appointment website, I will give you a $25 gift card if you keep your appointment. But listen, you have to do it before the end of this show. If you have a relative that's serious, maybe you're already covered, because I see a lot of my customers here already. But if you are serious about having a conversation about life insurance, and I'm not saying that you're going to say you're going to buy, but if you're serious about having that conversation, for the first 10 people who schedule an appointment before the end of this show tonight, I'll give you a $25 gift card. I have them right here. I will give you that if you keep your appointment.
Wow.
Now, if you schedule, this show goes off at 9 p.m.
That's
if
right.
you schedule at 9:01, I am going to have amnesia, dementia. I don't remember anything about any type of gift card. I wasn't even on air tonight, right? I'm not going to even remember it. So right. You got to make sure you do it before the night is out, and then we'll just have a conversation. So there it is.
And look, just to have a little fun with it, those of you that go ahead and reserve, just put in the chat box, say reserved. All right. So we can see the countdown, because Tony said only 10, right? Hit the first 10 to make it happen, right? That's 10. Exciting, man. We'll have some fun.
All right. So 10 people scheduled, TonyJacksonAppointment.com. And then we will make sure that you get a gift card when you keep your appointment. Listen, let's go, man. We're going to have some fun.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, man, I think it's time.
All right.
Time. Slow, you blow it. Oh, if you're, Tony said, you slow if you blow it. Death knows no age.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's real talk. Here we had Nadine Bell joined us from Washington, D.C. What you say, GoFundMe is not an insurance policy. Listen, all that's true. And we love chatting with our audience. But tonight, I want to bring on our special guest.
Yes.
Now, Marlon, I think you may have known Brandi a little bit longer than I have. But I think I met her at Jumpstart last year.
Okay.
She's a colleague of ours. But I was just really, first of all, man, I met her dad, phenomenal guy, right?
Yes.
And so, and then I met her, and he's so proud of his daughter, right? He was so proud of my daughter and all that. But I've just been watching her, man. She's been doing a phenomenal job with First Financial Security, which we're part of. And I was just so impressed by her story, when she shared her personal journey.
That's right.
Now, Brandi Bridgett, when you look at her bio, man, you're talking about a phenomenal entrepreneur, business owner. Man, she got featured in O Magazine, right? Come on, man. You got an Oprah Magazine?
What?
Yes.
Okay, Brandi.
That's what I'm talking about. I thought we had something with George.
Right. Okay, Brandi. All right, BB.
Oprah Magazine, just numerous awards. Her agency, the agency at National Harbor, doing great things in the community. And so, man, just really outstanding. Recognized as top 40 under the age of 40, right? In the state of Maryland. Wow. So the list goes on and on. But I think what we need to do is we need to listen. Sandy's on the line tonight. Sandy says, kudos. Listen, Sandy's giving her clap. Love it. Thanks. Good to have you with us, Sandy. Sandy is phenomenal, man. And I'm not telling you and Brandi something you don't already know. She's a phenomenal support for us. But with further ado, let's bring on to the stage with us Miss Brandi Bridgett.
Y'all have up a storm over here. Real good.
We just had a little fun on Thursday night, sharing some knowledgeable information. And that's what it is. Real money coach, right? Relevant, educational, actionable, and life-changing information. That's what we look to bring every single week. And so we're glad to have you with us tonight. So
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm back in the green room, guys. I'm cracking up. Tony talking about his picture. He trying to leave for his great grandchildren. I'm saying to myself, I'm gonna have me a Cookie Lion picture that big up in there because that's the kind of legacy I'm trying to leave for my great grands as well.
Oh, that's right. Good.
Yeah,
good.
Trying to do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank you. We were on a webinar earlier this week. A couple of them, I think a couple of them this week. We were on with FFS, and I guess we're going to do a recording tomorrow.
Yes.
And it just really dawned on me. It reminded me of the story that you told, and I can't remember. It was probably in between sessions or something, but it really kind of touched me to kind of hear your story. It's a phenomenal story, and so we love to we'll just kind of fade off the screen and just let you share a little bit about your story and what brought you to this point, your journey, and then we'll come back on, ask you some questions, address some of the questions that comes up in the chat box, and we'll just kind of take it interview style after you do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate Tony reaching out to me and saying, hey, Brandi, would you mind sharing your story? And I chuckled with him because I don't really share it often. And but I've shared it more in the past 30 days because this has been that year of completion. And I'll get to that in just a second. But a little bit about me. You probably see some of my kids in the background. I am a mom of 3. They are 12, 11, and 7 years old. My story, how did I get to the place that I'm at today? About when I was in middle school, I met this young man. My mom, I went to private school. He went to public school. I went over to her school. I would type up her administrative stuff. Her nails were too long. She didn't want to type. So I would go over there on Fridays and type her stuff. And this young gentleman came in to do after school announcements, and he caught my eye. So my entire 7th grade year, he caught my eye. We finally exchanged words, maybe my 8th grade year. And by the end of the year, he had mustered up enough confidence to ask me to the 8th grade prom. I begged my mom. I said, I don't go to the school. Can I please go to the prom? And he even said, hey, would you mind dancing with me once? And I said, okay. I went to the 8th grade prom, and I was nervous the whole night. My hands were sweating, and it came down to the last dance. And I was like, maybe it's the last dance. And this gentleman never danced with me. I saw him walk into the car in the parking lot afterwards, and he was like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I was like, nope. I was like the girl off of the movie. I was like, I hate your stinking guts and your tail too, you know? And I was like Darla from the movie. And I was like, I never want to speak to you again. I ended up meeting this gentleman again when I was around 16 years old. And we met each other at the ice cream shop where he was working. And from there, we started talking slowly. And we never parted ways after that. When we were 19 years old, almost 20, I went off to the University of Maryland. He was working. He called me one day and said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing a term paper. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I just joined the United States Marine Corps. I said, you did what? We're in the middle of a war and you did what? And he said, yeah, I did it because I want to kind of take care of you. And I said, He said, but speaking of that, I'm coming home this weekend. You want to get married? And I was like, what? That's crazy. I was like, you got to ask my dad first. And he was like, I did. Now what? And I was like, all right, I guess so. Let me go ahead and do this term paper. Came home that weekend. I told my mom, I was like, yeah, mom, I got laundry to do. I'm going such and such place. And then Eric and I are getting married and everything like that. She said, hold up, time out. What'd you just say? I said, I'm getting married. And she said, where? And I said, the justice of the peace. And she said, you know, there's nothing against the justice of the peace, but you never know what my life could bring your way. And me, I'm like, whatever, you know, parents always going to be parents. And so we didn't end up going to the justice of the peace. 3 weeks later, my sister and my brother-in-law opened up their home. We had a 200-person wedding outside. And the next day he was shipped off. And that became our story. He was shipped off and had done about 6 deployments in 6.5 years with the Marine Corps. I don't know how we had kids in between there. I call them the pre and post deployment babies. But it got really rocky at the end. My husband suffered severe PTSD right when PTSD was really coming about. And I fought for our family. I fought for what we deserved. And the Marine Corps literally sat there and they told me, I remember this very, very plainly. We were in a room and they said, you know what? We've spent way too much money on you, meaning him. And in 30 days, you'll no longer be in the Marine Corps. And that's what happened. So within 30 days, our life just whirlwind and it turned. And we were no longer in there. He was medically retired. And about 3 months later, found out I was pregnant with baby number 3. And I said, okay, Lord, how are we going to do this? He went back to school and I was an entrepreneur. And I share this story with you guys because I felt like we were doing things right? Fell in love, got married, had kids, you know, trying to build a business. And as we were building this business, you know, and I was pregnant with a 3rd baby, I had a major accident. I had a critical injury. I broke both bones in my left ankle and I had to have emergency surgery. I had to find a hospital that would operate on me and a doctor that would do the operation. I ended up having surgery, being numbed from my knees down so it wouldn't impact the baby. And so my recovery was a lot longer than what a normal person would be. I have 7 screws, 2 plates in my left ankle. And I share that because none of us know where life's going to take us. I never expected to have such a critical injury to change the landscape of my life. You know, I now I can't teach my children how to ice skate, roller skate. I can't walk long distances, and it's changed everything. But in that midst of changing everything, I was an entrepreneur. He was just going back to school. His benefits hadn't gotten put in yet. So after surgery, I looked at him, I looked at my foot, I looked at my belly and them 2 kids standing beside him, and I said, we're out. We were in California. I was like, we're leaving everything and we're moving back home. He was like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I can't take this. I need my mom, I need my dad, I need everyone. And we came back home. And in the midst of coming back home, I thought that it was like a new beginning, that we were going to have that house with the picket fence and the 2.5 kids, literally, and a dog, and just a starting over. I was so excited, even though it was in the midst of turmoil. And about 8 months in, he came to me and he said, I really want to change up my profession. I want to go back to school for culinary arts. And so he did. And he was working his job at a restaurant as a head chef. And one day he went to work on a Friday. And I remember it is so crystal clear. He sent me a text message around 7. And he told me, hey, I need to close up shop. And I was like, oh, again, the kids are waiting for you, whatever. And so I hung up the phone, and I know closing up shop means that closing up the restaurant really late, probably 1 a.m. once you've gotten everything done. I went to sleep and I literally passed out. I just never felt, I was so tired. My mom had just had knee surgery. I was out. The next morning I woke up, he wasn't in the bed, and it was a beautiful Saturday morning. I was like, oh, well, maybe he just went for a run or he went for something. And I remember clear as day. I got up. I got the baby. I was feeding her and the doorbell rang. My dad, he went down the hallway because we were in the midst of looking at homes, and he came walking back down the hallway, and he's a hard of hearing guy. So he talks really loud. And so even though he thinks he's whispering, he's not. And I heard the words, Gloria, wake up, wake up. We got to get Brandi. Eric is dead. And I'm sitting in the bed and I'm like, what did he just say? And he said it again. Eric is dead. And I looked at my babe. I looked at the phone and I immediately picked it up and I started calling him. And it would ring and it would go to voicemail. I was like, no, he can't be dead. Like that's I don't know what they're talking about. And then he said it again. I picked up the phone and I know I called the phone about 5 times. I ended up getting up and I walked into our living room, and it was my husband's entire family standing in my living room crying. And at that moment, I knew that something had to be true. And I sat on the couch and I went numb. I honestly don't remember much after that. I remember, probably within an hour, my house was flooded of people because it was all over the news. It turns out that my husband was killed in a hit and run car accident. He was walking home from work and he was struck, and he was killed instantly. And my world just shook. I didn't know what to do. I was numb, but I remember my one uncle coming by. He was a retired gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. And he said, Brandi, at least financially that the kids are going to be okay. That should be able to help you get through this. And so I took his words like, okay, like many Americans, the jobs got insurance for us. We're going to be okay. That Monday I called the Marine Corps and I made my husband's arrangements. And they told me, ma'am, he can be buried honorably and everything like that. 21 gun salute, you name it. And then they said, thank you for your service. And I said, hold up. Wait a minute. What do you mean? I said, where's the life insurance person? They paused and they said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but because your quick exit, there is no life insurance. I said, what? I've got 3 sets of eyes sitting here, 5, 4, and 4 months old. I'm sitting here and I'm still in rehab 3 days a week trying to learn how to walk again. And you're telling me that there's no life insurance? They said, I'm sorry. And they hung up the phone. And I promise you, that was probably the second biggest gut punch since I heard that he was dead. And from there, it looked like a mess to me, but it wasn't really a mess. I mean, I had an outpouring. I say that I had angels on earth because when I took my kids to daycare, because I tried to keep them in a normal state, I had people that literally every day would drop off full meals for my family for about 4 months straight. I was on the news 5, 7, and 9, and even 4. I had people that were just sending checks to my parents' house for $25, $50, or dropping it by. I had outpouring from my high school community, from my college community, from my church community. And I owe a lot of that to just being a tight-knit area, but I also know that there's angels on earth and not everybody gets to experience angels on earth. And so this mess that I went through, I didn't understand then why I went through it. But then over time, as I got to know myself and understand myself, because I had gotten married so young, I was used to being, Bridget's wife or Eric's wife. And then I became the kids' parents, a mom. And before that, my sister and my parents are in the school system. So I'm known as Miss Matthews' sister or Mrs. Holmes' daughter. I never really got a chance to really take the time to understand who I was. And so over a period of time, I started reflecting and I started asking and talking and getting closer with God. And it wasn't probably until the 4th year in, I sat on the side of the road one day. My husband, 2 weeks before he passed away, he gave his life back to Christ. And I remember at church, it was the song, Take Me to the King. And about 4 years later, that song came on. I'm in the car by myself. Tears are just going everywhere. And I pull over on the side of the road and I just start yelling. I'm like, God, why have I gone through what I've gone through? Because it was in the month of August. My husband was born in August. My firstborn is born in August and his death date is August 31st. And I remember just asking God and just feeling so pent up on why I had been through what I had been through. And at that conversation, he was like, listen, you need to teach about finances. And I was like, that's funny. I don't know a thing about finances. I know how to swipe a credit card and balance a checkbook. And I started laughing to myself. I was like, God, you're funny. Like, this is crazy. And it became more apparent over the next upcoming days of what he meant. I met a young lady known as Shirley Lou, the financial guru. And when she shared with me all of the avenues that life insurance can affect a person, can impact a life, I started crying. Because when I heard that life insurance can help you when you have a critical illness, I looked back and I was like, oh my goodness. If I had had that when I had my surgery, when I had had a major accident, I wouldn't have felt up against the wall as a provider in my household. I wouldn't have felt like, since I can't be out here working and I have no income coming in, that stress might not have been on my husband. When she started talking about the death benefit and how it can be used to leave a legacy, I started crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I had had this and known what to do with it, it wouldn't have just been in the moment money. It would have been money that would have been able to change the financial landscape for my children for years to come. And then even potentially my children's children, because then I would have known what to do if I had had it. And then when I heard that it could potentially help with retirement money and cash flow and you could borrow against it and just all these different leveraging tools, my heart got to beating fast. Have you ever had one of those moments where you know that this is what you've been called to do and it just kind of aligns and it just feels so right that you feel like you're just about to burst inside? That was the feeling I had. And it was from that moment on that I said, you know what? I'm going to take my mess and turn it into a message. I'm not going to be ashamed of my downfalls. I'm not going to be ashamed of the financial things that I had done in my life and maybe made wrong mistakes at times. I'm going to take those experiences and show other people that it doesn't take you having to be perfect. It just takes you understanding what we have out here and indoctrinating that into your plan, because we all have a journey. We just all need to understand that our walk on our journey has a purpose. And for me, this has been the 7th year, that year of completion when it comes to my husband's death. And this year alone, and especially this month of August, has allowed me to not just close some doors when it comes to that, but to open up others, and to be called by Tony, and be here with Marlon and just all of these amazing individuals tonight to be able to share my story. It really kind of comes full circle for me. And for that, I'm grateful.
Wow, wow, Brandi. What a story. I mean, just to hear you say it, and I can feel it in your voice, right? I can feel the sincerity and what you went through. And I tell you that you were pretty young when all this happened. I mean,
I was under 30. I was actually 27 when it all happened.
Years old, and so that's a lot for a 27-year-old to go through. Yeah. And what I like about it is you talk about taking that misery and turning it into a message. Right. Because the bottom line is we talk to a lot of people, and then there's more people that we should talk to that we don't open our mouth. Yeah. But when your why is big enough, the how becomes easy.
Yes, it does.
It's, hearing no doesn't deter you anymore.
No.
I mean, it's like, man, I just got to go to the next one, because there's so many people out there that need what we have. And you outlined some wonderful, wonderful benefits, right? You talked about the critical illness, the chronic illness coverages. You talked about all of those things that are important, but at the very basic, the bottom line is
the death benefit.
The death benefit.
Sure.
And when I tell people this, I said, when you're not making a $100 a month decision or $500 a month decision, you're making a $500,000 decision.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, one of the things, Brandi, Dr. Benita Harris says, what an incredible journey, and still here making an amazing difference. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Right. Yeah. And Brad says, thank you, Brandi, for sharing from your heart. Okay. And then, brother Corey Vu says, moving and impactful. Right. And then Tony said, wow. Right. And so, I think one of the things, that, we all have a story, and, and the thing is, your misery can become your ministry. And so, Brandi, what is your mission? And, I always believe, God, has given each one of us a purpose. He's given us certain gifts and talent. And so what's your mission? I want you to inspire our viewers. What's your mission? You've had some things thrown at you, but you're still standing. So I want you to talk to us about that. What's your mission? How are you using this to just really speak to the hearts and the spirits of people so that they take action? Talk to us about that.
I mean, my mission is so huge. It is to really inspire everyone and change the financial landscape of the game. For every individual. I mean, I want to inspire that single mom that's got children making minimum wage, that never thinks that she can have a financial wealth portfolio. I want her to understand that everyone starts somewhere. When I saw our good friend Tyler Perry become a billionaire, I was like, this man was homeless.
Right.
He was home, and now he's a billionaire. So if that doesn't inspire you to understand that finances can change at any point in time, and it is up for us to take ourselves up sometimes by the bootstraps. And I'm not even gonna lie, there have been many days that I wanted to stay in the bed and just cry and weep and woe is me.
Right.
But I know that if I do that something that I might say, something that I might do, if I did stay in the bed, might be missed and block someone else's blessing. Because if I don't talk to every single person and make sure that they're properly insured, it's not just about them. It is about those children that are in that home with them. Yeah. When I see people with children, I look at my own children, and I remember listening and thinking and literally sitting on the side of the bed like, how am I going to afford formula right now for this child?
Right.
Because my bank account is empty because he was the sole provider as I got myself well and back together.
Yes.
And so when I see people with children, I think about how I felt.
Okay.
And so I want people to understand that, take off these barriers, all these I can'ts, and it's not for me, or it'll never happen for me, because I never thought that I would be in an industry where I could create leverage through profit sharing. I mean, it's just too much. I mean, it's just I can't even, y'all gonna make me go to church over here.
Right. Beyond anything you can think or imagine. Right?
We can go to church. We ain't got no problem.
Right.
We can pick up and go. I know somebody got an organ out there. They can come on in. We can go to church.
Yeah.
But one of the things that when I'm sitting down with someone, I tell you, when we think about life, and you hear this all the time, term versus whole life and this and that and the other, I tell people, listen, this is the priority. Have enough coverage first.
Yes.
Make sure that you can afford it second.
Yes.
And now we can talk about the type of insurance,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So let's make sure you're covered, because if you can afford, I mean, I'm serious, especially in the times that we've been going through, right? If you can afford $25, $50, that's all you can afford.
Right.
Dude.
But let's put you in a term policy so that you're covered, because I don't want to put you in a $25,000 policy when I know you need $250.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we can convert it, we can grow with you, just like you're talking about your finances, and all those things will change.
But I gotta add something there. The reason why we can say that type of thing is because we have the power to convert things. See, there's these other companies out there that, not all the time do they talk about convertibility. Do they talk about the importance of having a permanent situation? So they need to get with you, because you have something that they cannot get everywhere.
And that's a very good point, because a lot of them don't have anything to convert to.
Yes.
And how many times have we sat down with someone, and you've run into it? I'm sure you have. I have. You run down and they're at the end of 20 years. Now they're up in age, and that policy is going to explode on them.
Yes.
Because there was nothing to convert it to for all these 20 years.
Yep.
So that's a very, very good point. Is just because I think it's the people, the product, and the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about is that we work we have a great array of products available to us. We have a great process, and if you love the people, then you'll figure out the play.
Yes.
Right? And so love that.
So Brandi, so let's talk about when people have objections, right? What are some of the objections you hear, and how do you help people see the light, right? What do you do, right? Because everyone, right? Oh, I don't want to talk about, life insurance. I'm going to die if I get life. I ain't got no money, right? I ain't leaving them nothing, right? I mean,
we've heard all of them.
What are 2 or 3 of the objections that you hear, and how do you help them change their mindset to take action?
Number one that I heard pre-COVID was, I don't need to talk to you. I got insurance on my job. I'm good. And so what I tell people is that I need you to get woke, okay? I need you to understand that insurance on your job, that's not yours. You don't own that. Your job owns it, because the minute your butt is gone, furloughed, downsized, or whatever, it's there. You now are you have disconnected from the group. You are no longer one of the cool kids. And you got to go out here and get your own insurance policy. And I tell them, I said, I hate to break it to you, but after you don't have done 20 or 30 years and you've been with this job, they're going to look at you and they're going to say, yes, Mr. Smith, thank you so much for being here. But unfortunately, a part of your benefit packages is going to tell you that $7.95 you've been paying every 2 weeks for your life insurance, you're actually going to have to get your own now, but thank you for your service. And now when you try to go get it, you're older, you got more health issues, and it's more expensive. Why not understand the system prior to that, so therefore you can monetize yourself at a younger age and save yourself some money over time? I'm just trying to show you the game.
Right. There you go. That's good. So, and I love that because again, think about it. Like you just said, you're younger, right? You don't have the healthy. See, the key is when you don't need it, that's when you want it, right? That's really it, right? And so I want all of our viewers to understand this. Listen, Brandi's got children, I've got children, Tony's got children, and we actually, for our children, have actually gotten policies on them, right? To lock in that price and also create legacy wealth. I mean, my children will be millionaires, right? Yeah. My daughter's 13, my son is 10, right? I mean, because we started early, and that's the key. So, okay, so what about children, Brandi? I mean, we're talking about the parents.
They didn't know that they're going to be millionaires. They might try to just not go to school or something. You're broke. Okay, you're broke. Keep going.
Right. True that. But have you found, Brandi? I mean, are you talking to parents about what they can do for their children? And Tony hit me to the 529, right? And he said, Marlon, man, 529's got restrictions, but if you get an IUL, man, you have so much more freedom. So talk to us about that for children, for our viewers.
I love talking to the individuals about that because, usually they're so proud. They be like, you know what? I have a Gerber policy or I have a 529. And I'm like, you did something. You did. Because there's a lot of people out here that just didn't do anything. So I'm going to congratulate you on that. But let me hip you to the game. Let's say that your child is just exceptionally bright and they get a full scholarship. And you've been putting this money away in this 529 for Lord knows how long. Right. And then now you're stuck with it. And they come to you and they say, you know what, Mr. Smith, it's really not a problem because you can go back to school and use your money if you like, or you can take the penalties on it. Or now that you have to take it, there's tax implications. And you're like, hold up. I know about all that.
Right.
And so it's like we have to start educating ourselves on the entire thing, not just to go and be the, a part of the crew. So many people do it, because, my auntie did it and my parents did it and this, that, and the third. But one thing we don't realize is that time changes. Things evolve, and what used to be working might not be working in today's world. So we have to start understanding that we got to do our own education on things. And there's always newer, innovative things. And I don't understand why people don't realize that innovation also happens in the world of finance.
Right.
Like it's happening everywhere else. How we buy houses, how we talk and do meetings, everything. So why is it that we're so complacent on the way we put away money, we use money and do the traditional things that we do?
And we've been doing the same thing since the mid 70s when they got rid of defined benefit plans and went to defined contribution plan. We've been doing the same thing. Now, most of us, right? We're not driving a 1970 Buick. Now you're driving one that's got navigation, it's got lane assistant, it's got blind spot, it's got all this heated, cool seats, all of that stuff, right? And we used to wrap up in a blanket in the back seat. Now, so why are you operating in your finances as though time stood still? But yet in every other aspect of your life, you're taking advantage of the new and innovative.
Yeah.
And so that's really what it's all about is doing that. And one of the things that I found is that what I find is a lot of people have done a lot of great things with their finances, but it's just they haven't completed the circle.
Boom.
They haven't completed the circle.
That's
and
it.
So when they haven't completed the circle, what happens is that leaves exposure.
Mm-hmm.
What are they exposed to? They're exposed to the market, COVID, right? We know what that does to the market. They're exposed to taxes, right? I mean, and you talked about they're exposed to getting laid off. 50 million people file for unemployment. What does that mean? That means a loss of benefits. And so now what are you going to do? And so it's not that we haven't done, many people have done things, but it just hasn't come full circle. And so our job is to help them close that circle. Absolutely. So that now there's no gaps, there's no exposure, or we can eliminate those exposures so that they really have the nest egg that they really want and need.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a football person, but I understand that you can't have holes, you can't have gaps, because that allows that someone to come in and just boom, knock you off your feet, and you can't go anywhere. It's the same thing with your finances. You've got to make sure that you have no sneak attacks coming up in your camp, nowhere. So therefore, you can make sure that you and your family are always protected.
You shouldn't have brought up football, because we were on these shows one night. Marlon put on his football jersey from high school. I'm like, what are you doing?
Hey, Brandi, listen, state champions, Kennedy High School. Okay, I'm just saying. We played at University of Maryland. I caught the game-winning touchdown pass. I mean, he brought it out of me, Brandi. Okay, I'm just saying. You know, hey, I got the video to prove it. VHS, okay.
I heard about the touchdown pass, man. Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, game-winning touchdown pass. Okay.
But here's the thing: knowing the game, because the thing about it is that what we do, what the other team does, what the enemy does. Let's be real. They look for the gaps, and then they can shoot that gap and blow up your play. They're going to do it. Absolutely. And so our job is to close those gaps. You know,
and
when
Sally said, "OMG, I had a Gerber policy for my granddaughter, and when I found out that it was just like having car insurance, I was floored." Right? And so, you know, so this is real, right? I mean, and what I really have, you said it 3-4 times, you know, really, Brandi, is that, you know, knowing the game, knowing the system, right? I mean, this is by design, right? And that's why we talk about, I think, you know, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Everyone should have their own business, even if it's part-time, right?
Right.
I mean, straight up. I mean, number one, it's a spiritual thing. I mean, when you create something, your service, your product, your God-given gifts, I mean, you are living. That's number one. But number two, the tax code is written for the business owner and the landowner. So, I mean, you got, like you said, know the game. I mean, that's really the key. So, Brandi, I want to ask you this. As far as, you know, your mission is really, you know, I mean, to transform the world. I really feel that. And, you know, that's really the commonality. And I want all of our viewers to understand your misery really can become your ministry, right? I mean, in 2009, my brother Sean died. February 2009, 7 months later, my brother Greg died, right? September 2009, then my best friend, my mentor, Bill Davis, you know, when I worked at HP, he died Thanksgiving week. And so, you know, it's not by luck or chance. You know, you hear Tony's story about his mom had 6 policies and none of them paid, right? You hear about your husband and all. So isn't it interesting how I really do believe all things work for the good, right? Of those that love the Lord and are according to his purpose. And so for those viewers, I want you to understand, I don't know where you are, but I want to say, you know, I know COVID-19 has turned things upside down, but I believe you're here for a reason. It's not by luck or chance. Some of you just happen to tune in, you're on this channel, right? And I want to encourage you, really take Tony up. TonyJacksonAppointment.com. He'll put it up on the screen because Tony said for the first 10 people, he'll give a $25 voucher, right? I mean, you don't have to do anything, you know, but just have the conversation. Because the thing to me is that a lot of times people talk the talk, Brandi, and I know you've seen this, but you know, all you got to do is walk the talk. And you've already elevated yourself from the majority of people. I mean, that's why I commend our viewers who are here every Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. You know, they could be watching, I don't even know what the sitcoms are these days, right? I mean, really, I don't, right? Because I don't have time. You know, my Dennis Kimbrough, author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. I'll never forget. I was at his house, his library, all these books, right? All these books, man. And I was like, hey, Dennis, how many of these books have you read? He said, all of them. I've read them all. You scare me, bro. You scare me, okay? He said, some of them I've read 3, 4, 5 times, Marlon. I was like, okay, you calm down. Calm down.
You sound just like him, Marlon. You sound just like him when you say it.
That's my brother, man. I love Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. But what I'm saying is readers are leaders and leaders are readers. So, Brandi, what is a book or, you know, books that you would recommend? I mean, you probably do audio because I know you're moving and shaking, but what are some things? I want you to talk about any books that you would, you know, share with our viewers, but also if there's any things that you do on a daily basis so that you're at your optimal best.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good question.
That is a good question. And yes, I love audibles. Yeah, the other day, Tony caught me triple tasking. We were on a webinar and I was totally triple tasking and he caught me red-handed. I was trying to get a pizza here because we done burnt up the one in the oven and everything else. So I love audibles, y'all. Trust me, I'm not perfect by any means. My one favorite book right now, and I think everybody needs to read it if they want to touch on their finances, is The Power of Zero by David McKnight.
McKnight, absolutely. I've been reading that book for years.
Wow.
Yeah. Power of Zero, you guys. David McKnight.
Yeah.
Read it over and over and over again. That's the number one right now. I mean, honestly, that will really take your mind to the next level when it's like, oh, that's the game. We're not playing Monopoly no more. Like, that's the real game we need to be playing. And that's all I got to say. If you don't have these 3 buckets in your financial portfolio right now, then this is the book for you. We all know we got taxable one because it just happens, right? Our uncle just don't let us go. Right. The second one is that tax deferred bucket. And some of us are kind of good at it. Others, we done dabbled in it. We done gone in our 401k because stuff has happened in this, that, and the third. But for the most of us, when we got a job, we signed up for it, we set it and forget it. It comes out of our check every two weeks. I need you to understand how that tax deferred bucket truly works. And then last but not least, do you have a tax-free bucket? And when I talk about a tax-free bucket, I'm not talking so much about the Roth side of things because they limit you. They stifle your growth. Do you have a non-stifling growth tax-free bucket? And if you can't answer yes to that one, read this book, get with Tony. He'll let you know what to do. It's real simple.
Yeah. My presentation, I always talk about the 3 buckets. And I've been talking about these 3 buckets for years. And when I got a chance to actually meet David McKnight and hear his presentation in person, I was like, wow, this is what I've been talking about, for so many years. And it's just a wonderful, I got it on audio. I got the paper copy. I've given copies away. The Power of Zero is an awesome book. It is, a lot of people in our industry have read Patrick Kelly, right? So they read, tax-free retirement and all this, but this actually takes it to the next level. And so I definitely recommend that book.
Less than 150 pages, y'all. You could do it. Let's go. Okay.
Let's go.
At the end of the month, I challenge you to be able to come back and shoot a Facebook message or something and say, you know what? I completed the book.
Listen, I want, for those that are, leaders, eagles, and that's who we have, just type in the chat box right now, yes or no, right? Are you going to take Brandi's challenge, right? The Power of Zero. Okay.
The Power of Zero by David McKnight. Yes. You can put that in the chat box. The Power of Zero by David McKnight. Yes. Outstanding book. Outstanding.
Yeah. And so you asked me what's one thing I do on a daily.
That's right.
Because we wear so many hats. And we were sharing in the green room earlier. I'm a really competitive person, but I'm competitive with myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, you should be here by now. You should have done this by now. You should be this. And so now that I'm homeschooling, got 2 businesses that are full-fledged right now. Right. And, and still building, sometimes you can miss the mark, so to speak. And so every day I try to write down when I first get up, the things that I'm grateful for to change that. To really spark something new. For before my feet hit the floor, I go to my phone in my little note section and I just write what I'm grateful for. Because if I can start that energy, that kinetic energy, even before my feet hit the carpet, and I get in the shower and I'm killing it to some Beyonce, then the rest of the day is going to be okay.
That's right. Gratitude is the ultimate wealth, right? Being grateful. I mean, it just transforms. And, my dad used to say, any day above ground's a great day. If you don't believe me, try missing one. Right. And so to be appreciative for what we have. But look, we got some people that have accepted your challenge, Brandi. Monica Campbell Jackson, that's my cousin. All right. She's like, yeah, she's the first one. Okay. That's how we roll.
Right. Philadelphia, right?
That's right. And Brother Day, okay. Oh, there's the book, man. I tell you, man, we got a team up in here. All right. Yes. So Brother Day said yes, and then I see Tony said yes.
That's the second book.
It is
Power of Zero. That's his second book. And I will tell you, I see some of my team members on here tonight. Listen, we've just finished Closing the Wealth Gap by Eugene Mitchell. We're wrapping that up this month. Guess what, guys? Our next book for our our training is going to be The Power of Zero, because I love that book. You guys will see a lot of my presentation. You'll see some influences of that book in there. Yeah. But Marlon, I want to do one quick thing. And first of all, I just want to thank Brandi for being here tonight, taking out of your schedule. Just as you were talking about, you got 4 kids, you're homeschooling, you got these businesses that you're running. And I understand to take an hour out to spend
3 kids, right?
It is, but sometimes my dad is like my 4th child. You got to make sure he to go to the doctor and stay on top. It's all right.
Right. Okay, Tony.
Raw homes, definitely.
We understand.
Let's do it. Okay, Tommy, we're doing it. That's our next book study. And so, Power of Zero by David McKnight. Now, the other thing I want to bring up on the screen. This is so important. Listen, guys, we are launching on September 26th. Wins Fall 2020. Wins Fall 2020, completely online. You can go to winsfall2020.com and register for the 8-week course. We're going to talk about financial psychology. We're going to budgeting, loans, credit profile, risk management, insurance, retirement, entrepreneurship. And then we are also going to have a bonus week. So the whole purpose of this, really, like I said, when we design these 8 weeks, we design 4 weeks of defense, financial psychology, budgeting, loans, and debt. That's really playing defense. That's what a lot of people do well, like Dave Ramsey's and others. They teach you how to play defense. But once we get done teaching you how to play defense, then you're going to move over to our side of the ball, and we're going to talk about risk management, insurance. And then we're going to talk about retirement and investments and real estate and entrepreneurship. So we're going to show you how to play defense, right? Because defense is how you stop the enemy from scoring against you. But we're going to show you how to score against the enemy. We're going to show you how to take this attack to your finances. We're going to show you how to clean it up and then move forward. And so we're looking forward to it. It starts on September 26th, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Again, the website is there, Wins Fall 2020. We're going to be joined by some of our good friends from the Park Church. We're going to be joined by some of our good friends from New Birth in Atlanta, as well as some churches in California and all over the country. So we're going to come and we're going to have a great time. We're going to kick that off not this Saturday, but a week from this Saturday on the 26th. So looking forward to it. Wanted to put that shout out there. And Marlon, it's on you, brother. Take us on.
All right, brother. Thank you. Well, listen, we've had a phenomenal program. I just want to give a shout out. We had so many people share how today's show has truly transformed them. And again, you can go to our YouTube channel, share this YouTube video with your family, friends. Brandi really, man, it was so amazing. An hour flew by. See, when you're doing what you love, time flies, right? And so I just want to personally say thank you, Brandi, for being transparent. Thank you for being on this mission.
On some of those, man, because they're gonna email me tomorrow and say, "Hey, I put something in the chat box. You never even said anything." So,
right? No, I was gonna get to it. Yeah. Go ahead, Tony. Tony's so excited. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just looking, man. Christy Gordon said Power Zero. Alice says yes. Pam said yes. Added it on Audible. Gratitude from Christy. Our great friend Shirley Johnson. Much love to you. On fire, 100%. Tommy Day said, let's do it. So we're going to definitely do that as part of our book study. And then Sandy says, definitely a good read. Yes, blessed by the power of zero. Pam said, thank you, Brandi, for your inspirational message. And Brad said, are you in DC area? Yes, she is in the DMV. George said, what's the other book title? We'll get that. You can watch the replay and probably get that in terms of David McKnight's second book. I think if you Google him, you'll get it. Jarvis Latimer says, thanks for the information. It's new money. He's talking about new money. And so just wanted to just give a shout out to everyone who did put something in the chat box. We don't want to miss anybody. Make sure we got them. Sally, thank you for your shout out to me. It's a pleasure working with you. Tony said, great show. Entrepreneurship is the key. So we love all of our viewers. We love everyone who tunes in. Thank you guys for doing that. And then we got to have our signature close by the man himself, Mr. Marlon Smith. he's going to tell us something about a dream and a vision. Let's go.
And also I just want to say thank you, because again, what Sally said, I want you to read this. Tony's just kind of flew by, but this is really what it says. It says, I thank God for Tony. And that's the Tony Jackson who you just heard. Because when I met him and started talking with him, he has helped me to start closing the gap. And I want to say thank you, Sally, for, being transparent, being real. You see, we're all in this together. And one of the things I love about the Real Money Coach is that we take off the mask and we're just transparent. That's where the power is, when you're vulnerable, right? I was just watching something, Brene Brown talking about courage and vulnerability being the real strength. But when you got this mask on, everybody's kind of fronting, there's no depth, there's no real. And so tonight was powerful. But also I want to say, I always believe in, keep first things first. And remember, Tony gave a challenge. And so I don't know if Tony can tell us how many people have already, gotten their appointment, but go to TonyJacksonAppointment.com, right? For the first 10 people, he's allowing you to basically get a $25 gift card, right? It's just his way of saying, look, I appreciate your time. And you don't have to do anything. It's just a consult. It's free. There's no obligation. It's 100% confidential, but make sure you go ahead and do that. And so with that, again, TonyJacksonAppointment.com, and it's really powerful. I was a little tired coming into this show. Now I'm totally wired. I don't know how I'm gonna go to bed. Okay. But I'm just saying I might have to go do some laps or something, right? It's what, after 9 o'clock. I might have to go do some running, some jogging, just to, get this energy. But isn't that true? When you were like vibrating on another level, when you just feel like, wow, we're connecting, because 1 + 1 is not 2. 1 + 1 standing side by side is 11. And the synergy tonight, that's really what you've experienced. And all of our viewers, so grateful that you're here. But again, don't do it just for you. I just want to encourage you, because we all have family and friends who are really just kind of the blind leading the blind. And I'm here to say one thing that Brandi said that really struck with me is she said, sometimes I just want to stay in bed. Sometimes I don't feel like getting out. But she said, you know what? I'll paraphrase. She basically was saying, I have to do this because I may be someone's answered prayer. Do you catch that? See, for those of you that are watching tonight, I want you to understand, it's not just about you. Mm-hmm. It's about who can you be a blessing for. The information that we share tonight, and here you got Tony Jackson saying, look, a $25 gift card, go to TonyJacksonAppointment.com, and just a complimentary. Even if you brought your cousin, brought your niece, brought your uncle, brought your grandpa, we do it Zoom. You don't have to get in a car. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just saying, yo, let me just have a conversation, right? Just to see. And you just heard a young lady, I'm going to put it back up because I'm really, she said, Sally said, I thank God for Tony, right? Why? Because she said, when I met with him, started talking with him, he has helped me to start closing the gap. I mean, let that sink in. Basically, here's where most of us are. All of us are aspirational. We want to be a peer. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And so what Sally said is, look, I had a consult, and he's giving me some information, some strategies to help close the gap. That's amazing. And so with that being shared, on behalf of the Real Money Coach, Tony Jackson, Chris Jackson, we say thank you, Brandi, for being with us. I believe this will not be the last. I believe you will be back by popular demand, okay? And I want to say thank you, because it's so encouraging when you know you're not alone. Mm-hmm. We as eagles, sometimes it can get, like Brandi said, man, sometimes I just want to stay in bed. But when you connect with another eagle, Corey Vu was on earlier, Sandy was on. I mean, we got the same mission to make a difference. And so with that being shared, I'll share kind of our closing, because again, I'm a man of action. I've been around a lot of talk, but talk is not going to move the needle. And especially right now, I'm encouraging everyone, please, we have a responsibility to vote. And so I'm encouraging you, please get out and vote. Also encourage others, do what you can do to be part. And yeah, I'm going to go political because it's important. Politics, business, money, it's all intertwined. And so I'm just asking you, because again, our great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents went through a lot of challenges just so that we could have the freedom, have the opportunity. And so I'm encouraging everyone, please do your part. And so with that being shared, remember, a vision without action is just a dream. A lot of action without a vision is merely a passing of time. But a vision with action can change the world. Stay blessed.